Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back and it is Tuesday, July 7th already. I don't know, it just feels like the last 7 days just flew by. Anyway, we are going to get into the news tonight and we're going to do that now. All right, well, let's go over here and get away from that infinity screen. And I do have some people to thank here. The following donated via coffee, and I do appreciate it because donations are few and far between right now. And I realize that everybody is having a difficult time during this. A lot of people have been out of work and so forth, so I do get it. But Ian in Yellowknife, and I was surprised to see that because Yellowknife is way up north in Canada. I mean, way up north. So yeah, thanks Ian, and glad to see a fellow Canadian. Anyway, also Precious Freedom, that is an awesome name right there, Precious Freedom, and Don B, KCMO. So not sure what all the letters mean, but KCMO sounds like a radio station or something. I don't know. Maybe he'll drop us a line and let us know. Anyway, we're going to get into the news tonight. I hope everyone is doing well. And I do want to explain to you what happened last night. I uploaded the first video and it just sat there and sat there and sat there and sat there. Now at about, I don't know, 7:38 in the morning, I woke up to see if it had processed, and it hadn't. So I deleted the video and I uploaded it again, and I changed some wording and things in the keywords and so forth, and it went through. So it's very frustrating to me when that happens, and I'll tell you what else is frustrating me. Not that I'm sure you all have your own problems, but anyway, it's unbelievable because I will get up to, like the 800 and something, and then all of a sudden they'll knock it down by 100. And they keep doing this to me. So if you are subscribed to this channel and you wish to be subscribed to it and wish to still be subscribed to it, make sure that you are subscribed because they are knocking people off. And I just don't believe that there's that many people leaving the channel. I could understand it if I was getting a lot of negative comments and so forth and people were unhappy. I could understand that, but that's not the case. And so they are playing with my numbers. I'm not sure why. I don't know why I'm any more of a threat than anyone else, but apparently they think so. So anyway, just check that out. Make sure that you're still subscribed. And yeah, so that's why. And the video, when I was going through the comments on the second video, it was all, wait, you said that there was a first video, but I can't find it. Well, that's why. But it's there now. There should be, well, actually, by the time it got uploaded, it would show for today. So there'll be 2 for today and 1 for yesterday. So because I'm only going to do 1 video tonight, and we'll see how it goes tomorrow. I'm still working on some things and researching those, but we'll see how it goes. So anyway, glad to see you guys, and I'm glad to be here bringing you the news. All right, let's get into it. Well, we've got some interesting stuff tonight, as always. Now, this is from In the Matrix. Great person to follow on Twitter if you want to stay informed. 1993 White House Historical Association letter. Epstein and Maxwell donated $10,000 to refurbish the Oval Office and certain areas of the executive residence. Bill and Hillary have big problems. Yes, they've always had big problems, not just now because of Ghislaine and what she may or may not say. I think it's more the case that she will say because she's trying to save her own skin at this point, and if she can get less time or what have you, I'm sure she's going to. So yeah, she's probably gonna talk, and I'm just hoping and praying that they have her somewhere very safe. I know that they have hired a well-known Italian bodyguard that's supposed to be one of the best in the world. So let's hope this time they make sure that their whatever their witness stays alive. And it's interesting because there's something going around saying that she has COVID. I don't believe that for a minute. I think that that's false news, fake news, whatever you want to call it. I just don't think it's real. I have no indication that that is actually a fact at all. Anyway, let's continue on with this, and let's look at this letter here. And it says, oh gosh, that's very, very tiny. Maybe I'm going to have to read it on here. Mr. Jeffrey Epstein, Villard House, 457 Madison Avenue, New York, New York, 10022. Dear Mr. Epstein, this letter acknowledges the receipt from Mr. A. Paul Prosperi of your check. Receipt from Mr. A. Paul Prosperi of your check dated September 29th, 1993 in the sum of $10,000 made payable to this association. We thank you for this contribution, which will be used solely for the benefit of the White House, primarily to assist in funding the cost of refurbishing the Oval Office in the West Wing and certain areas of the executive residence. By copy of this letter, we are informing Mr. Prosperi as well as Ms. Margaret Williams of the White House of the receipt of this gift from you. Sincerely, Bernard R. Mayer, Executive Vice President. And it says White House Donors Reception, and of course their names are on there. So yeah, here it is, Mr. Jeffrey Epstein and Ms. Ghislaine Maxwell of New York, New York. So they were very instrumental. They gave big money to the Clinton Foundation. They gave money to the Clintons, and they were good friends with the Clintons. The Clintons have been to Epstein Island, and there's a very close tie there. So I don't have any doubt at all that Ghislaine will, to save her own skin, tell what she knows, because every indication is that she is cooperating with the FBI, and that's good news. So no doubt there's some very, very nervous people out there. And I think the Clintons are two of them. All right, let's go on now. Now, this is very, very strange, and I'm not going to say some of the words just because this is a very sensitive subject and very subject to being censored. Okay, I think you can all see that word right there. Let's call it Chrome. The Chrome Witch by P. Diddy. Interesting, isn't it? It's the name of a book. Yeah, he wrote a book entitled The Chrome Witch by P. Diddy. And here we have proof of it, Barnes & Noble. And let's go down now. And here is pages of the book, The Chrome Witch by Diddy. And there's once upon a time in the land of Hollywood, many women came into acting careers and were exposed to higher authorities who didn't know God or accept the Lord Jesus Christ into their hearts as their eternal Savior. Many of these women started off innocent and had good intentions when they entered the world of Hollywood and the elite. These women, and then it's continued on, but that is just a screenshot there, and there it is. And of course, right now, because it is out of print, it is $100 to buy this book. So strange. Now, I don't know what year, or did they say what year this was? Not sure. But I'm not sure. But I certainly would really like to get a copy of that, wouldn't you? Very strange. Now, have any of you heard of this at all? And I'm not talking about from other alternative media sources. I mean, have you seen this anywhere? Have you seen it in a bookstore? Have you heard it talked about? Well, even if it is on an alternative media source, let me know in the comments where you saw it, who was talking about it. I'd like to know, because this is the first time I'm hearing about it, and it's quite interesting. I would really like to find out when this book was published. Oh, well, look at this. It can't be out of date because it says publisher Diddy. He published it independently, and it was published May 4th, 2020. May 4th. So it's got to be out there, but $100 for it? I mean, that's a little exorbitant, if you ask me. And here it's on the new Google Books as well. So I don't know if it's been taken off shelves or what. And it's called The Chrome Witch: Secrets of the Elite, May 4th, 2020. And this one, Diddy published it, and it's by Candy Mishel Johnson. And the ebook is $80. $80. So don't know what's going on with that, but very fascinating if you ask me. It says, Candy Mishel Johnson, I am a PR expert for stars like supermodel and chef Chrissy Teigen. During 2020, many stars are filming productions right in their living rooms. Check out Chrissy Teigen, Teach Your Child to Cook, and Sean Combs, The Paperboy, both on Amazon, KDP. Okay, well, who cares about that? I'm certainly not going to be checking them out. Not at all. But I'm going to just do this. Because you're probably just as interested in this. Yeah, so there's Barnes & Noble. And let's click on this. Let's see what we have. You are viewing the Nook book. Yeah, it's $100. That's how much they want for this. Kind of odd, if you ask me. And I bet you there's people paying it. I bet you there's a lot of people, and here's another one. This is on Google. It's only got a 1 star, but it's a true story that reveals certain celebrities' lust for eternal youth. Whoa. Well, I hope nothing happens to P. Diddy. And it says, I don't believe Diddy wrote this. It's only 7 pages, hardly a book or worth $80 scam. Paid $80 for only 5 to 7 pages, basically the sample scam. This book is only 7 pages, not worth $80. Scam alert, everyone report this fake book. It's only 7 pages for $80. Don't buy it. Scam alert. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm having a hard time believing that he actually wrote that because, I mean, is he really hard up for money? I doubt it. I just don't think he would do that. So whatever, this bears looking into because it's very, very strange if you ask me. Who wrote this? 5 to 7 pages for, well, now it's $100 in some places, $80 in one. So yeah, it just doesn't seem to, let's just check out one more link here. And this is the same. Very odd. Anyway, I wanted to show you that. Don't know. I saw it somewhere and I thought that can't be right. So I looked it up. Yep. Yeah, so, all right. If you guys know anything about it or you've heard anything about it, let us know in the comments because it does help us all. You know, when we have this many eyes everywhere, all over, then it helps us to research things when we put our heads together. All right, now, hang on just 1 second. Yep, all right. I just wanted to make sure that we were recording, and we are. All right, let's go back here. Okay, let's go on, because there's more news than P. Diddy news. All right, so this is interesting. Rebecca Barr, keyboard warrior for Trump. So, my best friend who works for a large pharmaceutical company just shared this with me. I'm hearing this a lot. There are stories like this everywhere. Anyway, one of her coworkers is on Okay, so her best friend works for a large pharmaceutical company. One of her coworkers is on vacation in Texas, and she and her sister were at the community pool. They started talking to a gentleman there who works in a testing lab. He said he's baffled by the strong uptick in positives, like someone is pushing for the second wave. So he decided to purchase 200 test kits himself and submit them to the competing lab to see what happened. He didn't actually test anyone, just made them appear tested. Sure enough, over 50% of the untested test kits turned up as positive. What the hell is going on? When will the madness stop? When will America wake up? And she put hashtag scandemic, hashtag sheep wear masks. And here she said, if you, okay, well, that's not to do with this particular thing. And this person, Q Plus Vibes, said, PCR tests don't test for COVID-19. There are no tests for COVID-19. The PCR test was developed in 1983 by Carrie Mullis, and it only tests for exosomes. Exosomes are released from cells during and after any viral infection and can be found in the system for years after a flu shot. And Jordan Sather says, thank you. The whole foundation of this testing is based on wrong assumptions, not to mention how many tests are coming back with false positives. Pawpaws. Yeah, remember the pawpaw fruit that tested positive? And I know that there are several people sending in tests now, and a portion of them are coming back positive when they weren't tested at all. So, interesting. It says nurse in major hospital in Tennessee tested daily, accidentally submitted swab that was unused, came back positive. It's everywhere, like the overstated deaths supposedly caused by Chi-Com virus. Yeah. So, yeah, and this person says, ugh, I can't believe my state has fallen for this crap. It's maddening. Texas has the most electoral votes behind California. We have always been red, and now we are borderline. We've been infiltrated. Yeah. And this person has a very good point, and this is what I believe personally. How long can COVID-19 live on a swab, and are the swabs spreading coronavirus? We need a thorough and non-corrupt investigation. Yes, we do. Now, that is exactly what I personally believe has happened. I believe that because prior to these outbreaks in nursing homes, they all seem to have the same story about someone coming and telling them that testing is mandatory. None of them had any symptoms. After they were tested, of course, they all seemed to come down with symptoms. Some survived, most didn't, because of the vulnerable population. So yeah, that's what I think. And we already know that we got tainted tests from China. They already admitted that China had put the virus in the tests. So do some of the tests still have it? We don't know. I don't know, but that's my personal theory. I'm not asking anyone to believe that. But that is the conclusion that I've come to based on everything that I've read and looked at. All right, let's go back and continue on. And this is Jerome R. Corsi. Thousands of Black Lives Matter, are moving in 4 to 6 vehicle convoys along interstate highways toward Atlanta. Vans, SUVs with rental or dealer-issued paper tags to defy Be on the Lookout ID by state police. Well-financed, well-organized. Goal? Occupy Atlanta. Where is the FBI? Bar? I don't know. And if that's true, it wouldn't surprise me because, of course, they are on the lookout for these rental vehicles that are paid for by, the regular cast of characters, George Soros being one of them. And yeah, so now they are in vans, SUVs with rental or dealer issued paper tags to defy Be on the Lookout ID by state police. All right, so if you are in Atlanta, heads up. Atlanta is a hot spot right now. And this by President Donald J. Trump, COVID-19 China virus, death rate plunges from peak in U.S., a 10-fold decrease in mortality. The Washington Times, Valerie Richardson, we have the lowest mortality rate in the world. The fake news should be reporting these most important of facts, but they don't. Of course they don't. And you know why the COVID numbers are rising exponentially and the death rate is going down? Well, I'll tell you. It's rising among those 30 and under, who is primarily out protesting in these huge, massive groups. 30 and under. That is the vast majority. Doesn't it make sense that that would be the largest rising age group right now that has it? Of course. You know, they encouraged this peaceful protesting. They encouraged it. They didn't try to shut it down in any way, shape, or form. They let them, all crowd together. But of course, if Christians want to go to church, then no, that's too dangerous. And, other things are far too dangerous, but except for protesting. And yeah, that's why. And, the people that are getting it, 30 and under, it's not really affecting them. Some don't have the symptoms, and some, get flu-like symptoms and they go on with their life. So it's not the same as, the older population. When it was hitting the nursing homes and the older population, yes, the death rate was high. Now the death rate is, slim to none, and it's because of the age group that it's hitting. And why is it hitting that age group? Well, we know why. And, it's interesting because they're trying to scare us with this. And yet President Trump keeps trying to bring it back to, but look at the death rates. They're way down. We have got the lowest death rates in the world for this. But there's still the fear-mongering. Everybody's going to die. Wear your mask, which is ridiculous. All right. Now, let's go on, because we've got plenty more, I tell you. All right. Melbourne, Australia, 9 public housing towers with 3,000 residents forcibly locked in their homes, unable to leave their apartments, 500 armed police keeping them inside, police on every floor, no one allowed in or out, forced door-to-door testing and food rationing. What? In Australia? Now, we have several people that listen to this channel that are from Australia. So could you fill us in on anything that you know about this? What is this about? Obviously, it has, let's listen to this and see if we can gather any more information about it. Hang on.
First, Victoria has recorded its second worst day since the coronavirus pandemic began, with 108 new cases. In an unprecedented measure, 9 public housing towers have been locked down. Residents there now locked in their homes for at least 5 days. And my understanding is, from a source in Melbourne, Spring Street, the government there, that they might be extending the lockdowns not just to the hotspot suburbs, but to the metro area of Melbourne as well, and that could come as early as tomorrow.
An unprecedented and extraordinarily extreme measure.
This is, in many respects, the most challenging issue that we have dealt with throughout this entire global pandemic.
9 public housing towers in complete lockdown. Nobody allowed to leave, nobody allowed to enter.
There will be no reason for any of those residents to leave their home for a period of at least 5 days, effective immediately.
5 of these public housing towers are in Flemington, 4 are in North Melbourne. They contain a total of 1,345 units, approximately 3,000 people affected.
There will be a massive logistical task to make sure that those people are fed, given the support that they need. I think we're equal to that task, and I don't for a moment underestimate how challenging, how traumatic in some respects that will be.
At any point in time, 500 police will be enforcing this lockdown.
There will be a number of VicPol staff on each floor within these towers, and then a larger number of Victoria Police members will essentially police that hard lockdown at access points to these towers.
The difficult decision was taken after a surge in transmissions within these towers. Residents will be locked down for at least 5 days as everyone is tested by health professionals.
Once we have all the test results back, which we believe is around a 5-day process, including the lab time, we'll be able to make further judgments about different groups within those towers, different policy and if you like, tailored responses, family by family, tower by tower.
We're not taking this at all lightly. We are extremely...
So, and I assume public housing, these are low-income housing units, and there's 9 of them, around 3,000 people residing in these towers, 500 armed police keeping them inside. Now, how is that even legal? I don't know, but I'd love to have somebody from Australia weigh in on this and let us know what's happening. Obviously, there must have been an outbreak of COVID in these housing towers. I don't know, but I mean, could you imagine that happening? I mean, I can imagine it happening in the U.S. I can imagine it happening in Canada too right now with all the ridiculousness. Now, granted, let me clarify that. I could see it happening in a Democrat state. I couldn't see it happening in a Republican state. I really couldn't, because I think the people would be just outraged if that happened. But yeah, very interesting and a little scary, because if that was me, boy, I would be screaming bloody murder, especially if I didn't have it and I was being kept in. Yeah. All right. Now let's go on, because there's more. There's always more. Okay, now Oscar the Q, that's an interesting name, says, I have a friend who is a nurse practitioner at Hackensack, and they put in 100 swabs dipped in saline and sent it out for COVID testing. 63% came back positive from Quest Diagnostics. Our saline supply might be contaminated, or they are falsifying tests. 63 out of 100 came back positive. Well, here's my thought on this, okay? This person says, well, maybe our saline supply was contaminated. Well, if it was, they'd all have come back positive, right? I mean, if the saline is liquid, so if you dip it in anywhere, it should be contaminated, right? So, yeah, I don't buy that. I think that they are doing that on purpose, that either these tests are flawed, maybe they're flawed on purpose. I don't know, but it is very interesting, and I'm seeing that everywhere. People are saying the same thing because they're getting curious and they're thinking, well, gee, let's send in some and just, you know, that we haven't tested and make it appear as if we have and see how it comes back. And a portion of them are coming back positive. How is that possible? It's not. All right. Now, this from Thomas Sowell. Abraham Lincoln once asked, I loved this, I absolutely loved this. Abraham Lincoln once asked an audience how many legs a dog has if you count the tail as a leg. When they answered 5, Lincoln told them that the answer was 4. The fact that you called the tail a leg did not make it a leg. Now, I love this because isn't that what the Democrats are doing? They're trying to, allegorically speaking, they are trying to make us believe that a tail is a leg, right? No, there's 5. No, just because you call something that it's not doesn't mean that it is. So I just think that is a wonderful, wonderful little quip there. Really wonderful. Yeah, dog has 4 legs. Whether you want to count the tail as a leg or not, doesn't change the fact that a dog has 4 legs. All right. Now, I'm sorry, I've got a hair in my eye, and I'm trying to find, which one it is here. I'm trying to, because it's driving me crazy. Okay, let's go on now. And here we are with this. Not high risk. Bubonic plague outbreak in China is well managed, according to the WHO. Not the WHO, the group, but the World Health Organization. Yeah, can we trust them? Let me see now. No, we can't. Once somebody has lied, how many times have they lied? Well, I mean, you're a fool if you trust them, really. That's what I think, anyway. So they're saying it's well under control. Yeah, they're the same ones that told us that China reported the plague, the COVID. They did not. They got that information from a U.S., was it not a blog, but I don't know. It was from the U.S. is where they got it. Anyway, the reported outbreak of bubonic plague in Mongolia and China is not considered to pose a high risk, the World Health Organization has said, adding that it's closely monitoring the situation. Oh, well then. Oh, I'm sure it'll be just fine since they're monitoring the situation. Wasn't that Obama's line that he used to always say? I'm monitoring the situation. Sure you are. Sure. Yeah, the disease, notorious for devastating large parts of Europe, the Middle East, and Asia throughout history, has been recently detected in Mongolia and has possibly spread into neighboring China. The outbreak has spread into neighboring China. The outbreak has so far been well managed, a WHO spokesperson told journalists on Tuesday. We are monitoring the outbreaks in China. We are watching that closely and in partnership with the Chinese authorities. Oh, well then. And Mongolian authorities. Margaret Harris said during a press briefing in Geneva, oh, well, yeah, if the Chinese authorities are monitoring the situation, I'm sure everything's fine. I'm sorry. I overshot my mark there. All right. At the moment, we are not considering it high risk, but we are watching it, monitoring it carefully. Yeah, I bet they are. Known as the Black Death in Europe in the Middle Ages, the highly contagious bacterial disease has claimed tens of millions of lives throughout history and is responsible for at least 3 pandemics, the latest one in the 19th century. Effective antibiotics and knowledge of how epidemics work turned it from a force of nature that could topple civilizations into a dangerous yet manageable infection. And what is it managed with? Antibiotics. And where are most of our antibiotics manufactured? China. Yeah. So I'm not willing to say, oh, it's not a big deal. It's over in China. Yeah. Well, what if there's a sudden run on all the antibiotics? They're going to save it for themselves. Right? That's exactly what they're going to do. They don't care about the West. In fact, they want to destroy us. It's quite evident. All right. Known as the Black Death in Europe in the Middle Ages, the highly contagious bacterial disease has claimed tens of millions of lives throughout history, responsible for at least 3 pandemics, the latest one in the 19th century. Okay, I just read that, and I don't need to read it again. And what does this say? Suspected case of bubonic plague registered in China days after Mongolian outbreak. Oh, it is in China. That's already been reported. Not by any of our media, of course, but it has been, it's in China now. So, Mongolia detected an outbreak last week after 2 people in the Coved region tested positive for the disease, apparently after eating marmots, rodents that serve as natural reservoirs for the bacteria. China identified a suspected single case of the disease in the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. Oh, well, there's more than just one. It's, from what I understand, it's starting to become a problem. Excuse me. So that is that. So keep your eyes and ears open. Well, maybe not your eyes because I don't think you can see it, but your ears open for any news about this, because who knows, that and the pig flu that's over there now could be the next epidemic. You think they're going to stop at one? I don't think so. But, you know, who knows? I mean, they got away with one. All right. And remember yesterday I showed you Wuhan underwater. I mean, not completely underwater, but I mean, the water was very high, and it led me to wonder what's happening with that lab. You know, because, you know, call me crazy, but I'm just not so sure they would have made it a priority to get those samples to safety before the flooding. And now we have the Three Gorges Dam that looks like it will burst because of all the flooding. It's not holding up well. All right. Now, while Nancy Pelosi was holed up in her $1 million home eating luxury ice cream, millions of Americans lost their jobs. She criticized the Paycheck Protection Program. So why was a firm partially owned by her husband a receipt of up to $1 million in Paycheck Protection Program money? I'd like to know that, wouldn't you? Oh yes, it's she criticized it for the plebs, the peons. Yeah, she didn't want small business owners, and no, she didn't want them to benefit. Oh, but if it benefits her or her husband, that's completely different. $1 million, and how much do they have now? I don't know. It's like 200 and some $1 million that they're worth on paper. I mean, who knows what else they've got hidden away? Probably lots. And Gavin Newsom did the exact same thing with his vineyard. Yeah, everybody else was closed down. His was wide open. Yep. All right. Now, this is something interesting to consider, I think. All right. Infant vaccination rates plummeted during the lockdown. So why did infant mortality rates also plummet to historic lows? Now, that's a fact, because during the pandemic, they were not the rates of vaccination, because the hospitals, everything was shut down, basically just taking emergency cases at hospitals and putting off anything non-emergency related. At least that's the way it was here, and I know that's the way it was through most of the states. So yeah, they weren't getting vaccinated, and during that time the infant mortality rates plummeted to a historic low. Now, to me, and it would bear further investigating, but to me it looks like cause and effect. Without the vaccines, the infants weren't dying. Now, that in itself should make people sit up and pay attention, but it won't. It won't. They'll try to cover that. Vaccines are praised as a golden standard for saving millions of lives worldwide. That's the promise that we are led to believe as parents ritualistically submit their infant sons and daughters to a cornucopia of state-sanctioned injections. Well, baby visits are designed to introduce up to 26 liability-free vaccinations in the baby's first year of life during 6 or more visits to a pediatrician. However, during the COVID-19 lockdowns, baby visits were canceled and vaccination rates plummeted as a result. More parents stayed home, nursed their babies, watched them closely, and kept them away from pediatricians. When the national emergency order was declared, provider orders for routine pediatric vaccines dropped significantly. The Vaccines for Children program and the Vaccine Safety Data Link reported a drop in vaccination coverage starting in the 3rd week of March as hundreds of thousands of parents stayed home and skipped baby visits. The downward trend was observed from March 23rd to the end of April for all non-influenza vaccines, especially measles-containing vaccines. Yeah, so as you can see, as the doses or as the vaccines decline, so does the death rate. So why did infant mortality rates drop to historic lows? If vaccines are so okay, and I don't want to keep saying that word too much because that's something that they highly, highly censor. So, and I do have to be careful. They're clearly watching me. For what reason? I don't know. I don't think I say anything that's dangerous. I do say things that are conservative, though. But yeah, I do have to be a little bit careful because I'm obviously on their watch list. Anyway, and I think I mean, that's just pretty cut and dried anyway, without getting into all the fluff. Okay. Now, this is interesting, and I'm just going to warn you, I didn't have time. I did this earlier in the day, and I meant to go back and look through it, but I haven't had a chance to really dig into it, so just bear with me here. I want to show it to you anyway because it's freaking fascinating, if you ask me. The doorknob sacrifices, a Black Sun ritual, 12 celebrity suicides related to pedophilia cover-up. Now, this is interesting. Again, I can't. It's from the Phoenix Enigma and website, and it says a Black Sun ritual. It would seem that June 2018 culminated a lengthy ritual involving the sacrificing of 12 well-known celebrities and members of royal families. Whereas this will only be news to normies, there has definitely been a lack of coverage on the occultic aspects of these deaths. It would seem that the normies, sheeple of the world, have not batted an eye at the fact that 12 wealthy celebrities have all died in the same manner in the past few years under very similar and bizarre circumstances. Well, it hasn't eluded me because I thought it was extremely... Who kills themselves on a doorknob? Really? Nobody. That's who. Anyway, let alone 12 people. Perhaps this is because the mainstream media refuses to report on their connections to elite pedophilia rings, which tie directly to powerful people in Washington, Hollywood, and the mainstream media. People on the last presidential ticket, in fact. People on the last presidential ticket. No, the mainstream propaganda media would have you believe that 12 independent and highly successful people with careers and influence hang themselves on doorknobs. Doorknobs. Yeah, I remember thinking that. Is it even possible to do that? I don't think it would be easy. My first question is, how the hell does one hang themselves from a doorknob? Followed by, how common is this? Do people hang themselves from doorknobs regularly? And am I just now finding out about this? Is there a doorknob suicide club the rest of us aren't aware of? Well, the answer to that question is yes. One need only substitute the word suicide with murder, or simply use the word suicide in the past tense while maintaining its usage as a verb. E.g., example, Hillary Clinton had Vince Foster suicided. Oh, yes, she did. Or Hillary Clinton opted to have Seth Rich die in a botched robbery as opposed to having him suicided. You get the point. I would like the reader to know how excruciatingly hard it is not to list the other dozens of people who have committed suicide surrounding the Clinton administration dating back to the Arkansas days. But what does this have to do with doorknob suicides, you may ask? Well, everything. Pizzagate, oh, I don't want to say that word on here. John Podesta, Hillary's campaign manager, child rapist, murderer. James Alefonis, restaurant owner. Henry Weinstein. Boys Town, Israeli brownstoning, Israeli control mechanism for the U.S. government, Jerry Sandusky, Jeffrey Epstein, Hunter S. Thompson, and see, I'm trying not to say stuff that's going to get this banned or that's going to make it sit and process all night, because that's very frustrating to everyone. The Catholic Church, Hillary Clinton, deep state Luciferian, oh, no doubt about that. None of these murders or sex rings are mutually exclusive. What's scarier is they occupy seats of incredible power and operate within the normalized institutions of Hollywood and Washington while being insulated by media and pop culture. The desire for the supply of, instead of corn niblets, supply of corn niblets for both the pedophiles and for ritual sacrifice date back to the days of monarchy and alive and flourishing within the institutions flowing within the undercurrents of our society today. Now, this isn't surprising to any of us at all. We're all aware of this. I think we're all awake. I think most, if not all of you are awake. Otherwise, I doubt you'd be listening to this right now. But it's interesting. So why did these 12 people die in nearly identical ritual suicides laden with occultic overtones? Quite simply because they were either in the thick of it or had information which would have exposed those at the heart of the corn niblet networks. Okay, in order of suiciding, they are as follows. Michael Hutchins, 37, way too young to die. Died November 22nd, 1997. INXS frontman Michael Hutchins's body was found hanging from a doorknob in room 524 at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Double Bay, Sydney. The occupant in the neighboring room heard an unidentified loud male voice and swearing at around 5 a.m. The coroner was satisfied that this was Hutchinson's arguing with another male on February 6, 1998, after an autopsy and corneal inquest. An inquest by the coroner. New South Wales State Coroner Derek Hand presented his report, ruling that Hutchinson's death was a suicide. According to reports, Hutchins had information regarding a VIP pedophile ring in the UK that was connected to child-killing rapist Jimmy Savile and high-ranking politicians. Well, that would make sense. It should be noted that this was the first suicide of the 12 and began on the same day of the year JFK was assassinated, November 22nd. Of course, the reason for this is because 11/22 adds up to 33, a numerical Masonic occultic calling card to be sure. Hutchins' age also adds up to 10 or 1. Visit my numbers study page for more info. Then there was David Carradine, 72, perhaps the most occultic murder of them all. Hollywood actor David Carradine was found dead in his room at the Swiss Hotel Nai-Lert Part Hotel on Wireless Road near, oh gosh, the name of these. Anyway, it was in Bangkok, Thailand. He was there shooting his latest film titled Stretch. Really? Stretch? A police official said that Carradine was found naked, hanging by a rope tied to the doorknob of the room's closet, leading them to believe his death was suicide. However, later reports suggested his death was accidental, the result of autoerotic asphyxiation. I don't believe that. 2 autopsies were conducted, one involving the celebrity pathologist, Pornthip Rogen, and both concluded that the death was not a suicide. The cause of death widely accepted as accidental asphyxiation. Carradine's lawyer, Vicky Roberts, went on record stating, "I believe there may have been foul play." Reports around the time of his death suggest that Carradine may have been involved in child sex tourism, a rampant issue in Thailand where he was found. If he was involved in pedophilia, could he have been connected to a wider network of Hollywood elite pedophiles? Here we have the almighty 72. If ever there was a more complete and hermetic number for ritual work, this is it. Of course, what better way throw collective common sense out the window than to write a sex scandal into the narrative? Death by erotic asphyxiation. I'm calling bullcrap on that. Was Carradine into the pedo scene? It sure seems that there was more than a few connections. Unlike other people on the list, he wasn't in the process of attempting to out anyone at the time of his death. Now, I'm afraid that they're going to go through all of these, and it's a lot. So I'm going to ask you guys, is this something that you're interested in? Because if it is, what I can do is each night I can go through a few more of them and outline the connections that they have to and who they were trying to out. I do believe that it was a ritual sacrifice, that the doorknob murders. It's quite evident that they were all murdered, because no, all these people committing suicide the same way, I don't think so. And all seem to be either involved or about to out somebody, which is not a good idea. So, yeah. And it's interesting that the first suicide of the 12 began on the same day of the year JFK was assassinated, November 22nd. So there's David Carradine, there's Alexander McQueen, 40. And the first of 3 fashion designers, McQueen, isn't that who, isn't that who Melania was wearing? Wasn't he wearing a McQueen design? I think he was. The first of 3 fashion designers on the list, McQueen was found in the AM hanging from a doorknob by his housekeeper at his home in Green Street, London, where paramedics pronounced him dead at the scene. Metropolitan Police stated that the note McQueen left was not suspicious. However, they did not confirm that his death was suicide. Now I've got to look that up. Melania, fashion designer of Melania's Trump black and white dress. Dun-dun-dun. Okay. And here's something else. People are reporting that that dress, the drawings on that dress were made by victims of child sexual abuse. That is absolutely categorically false, because I saw the video of how that dress was made, and it was done from fashion designers. You know how they sketch things out? They're actually sketches for the dress, and they took those and they embroidered it into the material. And if I can find it again, I'll show you guys, but it definitely is not, you know, drawings of, now I just, okay, the Queen. Okay. Alexander McQueen. And who is this guy? Is Alexander McQueen. That right there is the connection. Everybody was wondering, why did she wear that dress? That's why. See? Didn't even know we were going to uncover that, did we? But yeah, that is who made that dress. And I saw the actual, it was a short video on how the dress was made, how they actually did it. It was quite fascinating. That's why I watched it, because I thought, wow, that is really very creative. And they took these, they took the sketches from these different, you know, fashion students. I believe they were. I believe that they were fashion students and design students, and, you know, how they sketch and, you know, what they're going to do before they sew it and create it. And they took these sketches and they laid them all out, and then they embroidered along the lines, or sewed along the lines. And that is exactly how the material for that dress was made. And isn't that interesting that he is on this list? He died in 2010. So that dress isn't, I mean, the video that I watched was not, I mean, from much, I don't know when it was made, actually. I should try and find it again to find out, because now I'm really, really interested in this. The first of 3 fashion designers on the list, McQueen was found in the AM. Okay, we read that. Photos of McQueen's fashion shows. It's obvious that McQueen was in the thick of it and made a regular habit of signaling his allegiance. As an occultist, I can tell you that the attention to detail and themes portrayed in his shows were beyond that of casual decor. They ran deep. So that's why I'm thinking that, because you know her clothes are very symbolic. She wears things that have a meaning, and she sends messages to the deep state with her clothes. So what was she signaling wearing that Alexander McQueen dress? So interesting. Then there's Aaron Schwartz. Of course, we all know who that is. Tech pioneer and Reddit co-founder Aaron Schwartz was found dead in his Brooklyn apartment by his partner, Taryn Steinbrickner Kaufman. A spokeswoman for New York's medical examiner reported that he had hanged himself from a doorknob. No suicide note was found. According to former CIA agent Robert Steele, Schwartz hacked into MIT computers and found a huge stash of child pornography shortly before his death. So we've got the same thing is linking them all. Another numerologically significant date, January 11th, is 111, and this number has a few meanings. First, 111 is 3 ones, or 3. Master Mason is the 3rd degree. It is also the first 11 of the year. 11 symbolizes the pillars of Boaz and Joachim, which sat at the entrance to King Solomon's temple. 11 is also the first number after 10, which is the most perfect number and represents illumination. 11 represents imperfection in government because it is one number short of 12, which symbolizes a perfect theocratic government. Satanists love to utilize this dystopian number in their ritual work. Of course, the triple and quadruple ones hold extreme significance in pop culture as a number everyone seems to notice regularly. So, yeah, and this is interesting. Here's a video here, The Dark Side of MIT and Aaron Schwartz. Now, again, this website is called thephoenixenigma.com. Phoenix Enigma. Enigma is spelled E-N-I-G-M-A. So, in case you guys want to go out and check this out, because I'm certainly not going to have time to read all this. There's Loren Scott, 49. Robin Williams, of course, 63. Says Williams had been a part of the Hollywood scene for so long, nearly anything one can imagine could possibly be true. There's a 100% chance Williams rubbed elbows with everyone in the Hollywood scene at one time or another and was exposed to everything Hollywood had to offer. The question is, how deep was he into the scene? Decades of cocaine and partying can lead to some pretty dark places. He most certainly knew the dirty secrets of Henry Weinstein and his ilk. But what most people forget is that these celebrities cross over into politics quite often and support agendas of Democratic candidates regularly. This is where we get into brownstoning. Hollywood insider and whistleblower John Robertson has claimed in on the Hollywood pedophile sex rings. He recently made statements in an interview regarding his belief that Robin Williams was most likely blackmailed into making the film Patch Adams. All right. And of course, it was the death of Robin Williams was, aired like from Family Guy. It aired before his death. So they literally predicted his death, his suicide. Although I don't believe it was suicide. Chris Cornell, 52. Chester Bennington, 41. He is related to, I believe, Podesta. And he looks like Podesta. I think, wasn't it? Yeah, his father is John Podesta. Yep. So who knows what he knew. And then there's Avicii. I have never heard of this person, although he looks familiar. 28. Way, way too young to die. And yeah, so Kate Spade, 55. And it says Kate Spade's husband makes bizarre appearance wearing cartoon mouse mask. So there's lots and lots here. Now, we can come back and visit this again, or we can just go on and find other stuff. I don't know. What would you like me to do? Because there's certainly a lot here. A lot. I've watched this. That is fascinating. That's a fascinating video. Dutch whistleblower. They worship Lucifer, sacrifice children. Ronald Bernard. That was a good video. It's a hard video to watch, but it's good. Anthony Bourdain, 61. Now, I don't know. Just prior to being suicide, Bourdain tweeted the following: "Know what Hillary Clinton is not? She's not stupid or sophisticated about the world. The Weinstein stories had been out there for years. Mindless Hillary, hate aside, this was a terrible response to questions about a friend who's been tormenting women for decades. I have met Hillary Clinton. I liked her. I admired much about her. This interview was a real disappointment. Hillary is clearly not responsible for anything Weinstein. That's screamingly obvious. Her response to questions, though, has been uninspiring." And I am in no way an Hillary Rodham Clinton fan. I've been on the receiving end of her operative's wrath, and it ain't fun. It's no secret that people who cross the Clintons wind up dead, mostly from suicide. And then that was right before he was found. And they ruled it a suicide. I don't believe it. And this gets into a lot of stuff. Why 12? And just it goes on and on. There's a lot here. So this is something that you can either check out yourself, or if you want me to, I can revisit this. And I'd probably like to do that because it is quite fascinating. I know I'm going to be looking into it further on my own. All right, now let's go back here because we are running out of time, because who knows how long this is going to take to, process. But this is absolutely hysterical. I don't know why I laughed so hard at this, but I did. And Juanita Broaddrick, you gotta love her. And she was a victim of Bill Clinton. She never did receive any justice, but this is hers. She said, "They've gone undercover. Hillary as a bedspread and Bill as a zombie." Well, look at this picture of Bill. Let me make it bigger for you tiny phone people. Look at this. He does look like a zombie. My gosh, I've never seen that expression on anyone. He looks like a fish, really. Doesn't he look like a fish that's kind of pressed against the glass? And she, is doing a wonderful impression of a bedspread. So I agree. And also I wanted to show you this. And it's by Julian Assange. On the left, Trudeau's friend, convicted child sexual abuser Peter Dalglish. On the right, Trudeau's new buddy, We charity founder Craig Kielburger. Anybody noticing a pattern here? Oh yeah, I notice that pattern of around the Clintons and around other people of his ilk. Okay. Now, I think I've still got more here, but let's just hit on this because it's easy. This is from the NRA. News: China is upset because Donald Trump withdrew from the UN Arms Trade Treaty. The treaty, forced on Americans by Obama and Kerry, allowed foreign bureaucrats to restrict law-abiding American gun owners' rights. If China is upset with the USA, POTUS made the right decision. I agree with that. Absolutely, positively, 100%. I agree with that. So, oops. Yes, and you remember the couple that tried to paint over the Black Lives Matter? They had painted Black Lives Matter on a big street, and this couple went with black paint and they were rolling over it. Well, they've been charged now. Breaking: the Martinez couple caught on video painting over the approved Black Lives Matter mural on 4th of July are being charged with a hate crime, according to a release from Contra Costa County District Attorney's Office. Well. So now, I guess, opposing Black Lives Matter is a hate crime. Yeah. I don't know even what to say about that, to tell you the truth. I really don't. So, let's go back here and just see if there's anything else that's not too. Well, I think that, yeah, let me just hit on this and then I'll save the others for tomorrow. Omar, the USA can't stop at criminal justice reform. We must dismantle whole system of oppression. Why is she here? First of all, she shouldn't be here. She committed immigration fraud. And now she moves to the United States because she wants to dismantle the whole system of oppression. Wait a minute. Didn't she move to the United States because she was oppressed in Somalia? Why didn't she just stay where she was or go to another country that she liked? Why did she have to inflict herself on us? I'm just wondering. We don't want her. Probably nobody does. But, I mean, why didn't she just choose a country that she likes? You know, I don't know. I mean, if Somalia was so wonderful, why didn't she go back there? And I don't understand this. You know, they come as refugees, but they want to change the country that they're going to? I don't get that. I mean, this is supposed to be a step up for her. Oh, but she hates it. She hates Americans. She hates America. And she wants to dismantle the whole system of oppression. Oh, she's so oppressed. Oh, she's so oppressed. Well, she should go back to Somalia where, you know, if she wants to be oppressed, I mean, she could go back there. Because I'm not thinking she's too oppressed. She's got a good job. She's able to speak freely. Controversial Congresswoman Ilhan Omar called for the total dismantling of the whole system in the United States Tuesday, claiming the criminal justice program is just the beginning. As long as our economy and our political systems prioritize profit without considering who is profiting, who is being shut down, we will perpetuate this inequality. We cannot stop at the criminal justice system. We must begin the work to dismantle the whole system of oppression wherever we find it, said Omar. I really hope and pray that she is voted out. I don't understand how she's gotten away with the things she's done already. She married her brother. She committed immigration fraud. Oh, yes, and she blames the border crisis on white nationalism. Yeah, well, that's enough of her. Okay, I'm going to stop for now because who knows how long this is going to take to upload, and I'm pretty sure, well, I've been going for over an hour now, so I think it's time. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and again, please just take a moment, and if you wish to be subscribed to the channel, make sure you're still subscribed. Hit the bell notification to be notified of future videos. Now, some people that hit that bell aren't notified. I don't know. I guess they pick and choose who they're going to notify. I don't know. But also, if you enjoy this channel, consider supporting it, and through Patreon or Coffee or snail mail, PayPal, whatever. Anyway, thank you guys. I appreciate it. And I will be back tomorrow. I come back, and I come back just like a bad smell. So thanks, guys. I appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed too, and keep seeking truth because, you know, deception bites and all that.